My name is Izzy Mitchell. I'm an amateur boxer and currently on the England pathway. I've won the National Developments, Barham Box Cup, Winter Box Cup, the Haringey Box Cup, which is the biggest tournament in Europe, and currently I'm on the England pathway and have been selected for an international duel. But this year, as things ramp up, more opportunities, more title shots, so does the costs. The accommodation, the train tickets, the food, the entry fees, everything's just getting more and more expensive. And now I'm looking for sponsors to help fund my journey and fund my next step into greatness.
Oh, so why should people sponsor you?
As a sponsor, not only will you be getting free marketing, shout outs on social media, your company's name or logo on my fight gear, but you'll be having the exclusivity of being the first people to help support and fund me on my journey of becoming a world champion.
How did you get into boxing?
I got into boxing because I broke my leg and my brother had just started, so I went to watch him one day and I just saw everybody training and I was just like, this looks so amazing, this looks so cool, give me a go. So obviously I waited till my leg was healed and I just went straight at it and I've been at it ever since, and I just haven't stopped.
What is it? So can you remember your first session?
Oh yeah, my first session, I couldn't even skip. I had to learn how to skip, I had to learn how to just everything, I had to relearn everything because it was so new to me, I didn't know how to do anything and it was a bit out of my depth, but I just kept going with it and I turned out pretty decent at it.
And at what point were you hooked?
I think from the first session. Actually, before that, I was hooked when I went to watch my brother, and I was just, I don't know, but it just looked so cool to me, just getting in the ring and training, and I was just like, right, I want to do this. And the first year was really hard because it's just new and everything, and I just didn't really know what I was doing, and I'm a bit introverted, so all the people there were kind of freaking me out as well, but I got into it from the first session and haven't stopped.
And can you remember your first sparring session?
Oh, my first sparring session. I think it was against because there was no girls there really, so it was against a couple of the lads, and they're like boxing from like 5, so they've got about 5-6 years experience on me. And I was so scared, I'm just like freaking out, and I'm like, okay. And freezing in a little bit, but it was quite scary, but I managed to get through it without crying, so after that, the confidence started building up and sparring would become a bit more comfortable for me. Okay,
you mentioned you're a bit introverted in that. So to be a boxer, obviously you're putting yourself in front of a lot of people. Has boxing helped you with, you also mentioned the confidence, and being an introvert, sometimes it's more terrifying to get out there. So does boxing help with that kind of mentality, do you think?
I think boxing sort of gives you that ego and that confidence, knowing that, okay, I might not be able to speak to people properly, but I know I can beat you up, so that kind of helps. It helps you to sort of get out of your shell. I mean, obviously I wasn't always very good at it. The first couple of years I was struggling with like panic attacks and I couldn't speak. I would train myself into the ground than tell anybody that I wanted to stop and have a break, because I didn't want anybody thinking I was weak, because I was quite small and girl, and it was back 2018, so it still wasn't as popular as it is now. So I just didn't want anybody thinking I was weak, and I was the only girl in the gym, so it just wasn't, talking to the coaches was just off the table, it was not happening. But since then I have sort of grown into being able to voice what I want from coaches and going to these places, especially with the England squad. Now I'm on that the development pathway, it's all new people who are even better, so I've had to sort of adapt to that as well. Yeah.
Yes, with panic attacks, was that before fighting or just in training?
That was all the time. I had a whole year where I just couldn't stop having them. And they would just come on when I was sparring, and you can't breathe at all, and you feel like someone's suffocating you and you can't move. And then as soon as you get out of the ring, you've got to go upstairs and hide and like lie on the floor to start like breathing again, because you're just choking on your own. And then it happened in the national semi-finals, and I was so angry with myself because it just happened in the second round, and I couldn't calm it down because I was so young, and they stopped me. I got a double count in the second round, and I was just like, are you having a laugh? I was so angry with myself, but since then they haven't come back, so I'm quite happy with that. Well, basically it started happening around my third fight, and I sort of took the fight on the whim, and I was ill, and I was just like, right, like I said, I don't want to look like, you know, I'm weak or anything, because I'm the only girl in the gym, so I'll just take the fight. I took the fight, and it was so hard because I was ill, and I just thought, right, because it was sort of a chest infection, so I can't breathe. From like the first round onwards, I just couldn't breathe, so I've still got another 2 rounds to go, and I was just like, right, I've just got to fight this out. And obviously I lose, and then afterwards come out the ring, and I'm sort of hyperventilating. But when that was happening, I thought, right, it's just the cold, it's the infection, I just can't breathe because everything's blocked up, all right? So I didn't think anything of it. Then I have the rematch with the same girl, and this time I'm not ill. I'm physically healthy, but mentally I'm not there. I haven't shown up to the fight mentally. So I just get in the ring, and in the first round, I'm like, I don't want to be here at all, right? So I'm sort of giving up. In the second round, I think I took a clean shot, and the referee's counting me now, and I'm just like, first 5 seconds, I'm like, I don't want to be here, just get me out of here. But I also can't give up, because then I look even worse. So I'm just like, right, okay. So I carry on, and yeah, again, in the same round as well, I land a shot on her, and my thumb bends back. And the second round's done, I go back to the corner, and now I'm hyperventilating. The panic attack's kicking in, because my thumb's gone, I know I've lost, I've already got a count, so it's just like, and my coach is like, do you want me to throw the towel? I'll throw the towel in. I'm like, no, don't throw the towel in, because my sort of psyche is I won't give up, ever. Even if I'm sort of like hurt, tired, injured, I can't. I know I'm losing, but I don't care, I've just got to finish this. So I'm hyperventilating, third round's kicking in, I'm just like, right, okay, just survive the last 2-minute rounds. Fight's over, she's obviously won. I've come out of the ring, I go straight to the bathroom, and I'm like, hyperventilating. I'm sitting on the ground now, I've got to lie down. I'm sitting just like, hyperventilating. Someone's knocking on the door, they're like, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. And then, because you've got to leave quickly, so that was like the first time when they properly kicked in. And now every training session I'm having them, I'm getting in the ring, I'm freezing up, I'm having panic attacks against lads, and they don't really know and they don't really care, so they're just pummeling me, and I'm just sort of taking it. So I'm getting pummeled, I can't breathe, and that's happening every training session, right? So I have to go upstairs, like quickly run upstairs, and I've got to lie down. And I'm lying down, having a panic attack, hyperventilating for like 5-10 minutes. And I've got to try and calm down, but I can't, because in my head, I was just like, in my head it's like, you useless, you piece of useless, just die already. Right, so that's the kind of things that go in my head. You useless waste of space, just die already. And the hyperventilating keeps coming, and after about maybe 10 minutes, it sort of starts dying down. Calm down, I've had a drink. You go back downstairs, you just start skipping. And that's happened every training session. And then, obviously, the national semi-finals, and I'm feeling pretty good for the semi-finals, right? I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like, okay, I feel good. I get in the ring, and you know, I'm coming up against this girl, and this girl's sort of, again, one of them monkey, sort of long arm, dangly, likes to counter. And because that was my fourth fight was a national semi-final, so I've never even had that experience before. And I'm going in there, and I don't know what to do against this girl. I've got nothing, right? So that's when the panic attack's kicking in, because now I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. right? My coach isn't really telling me anything. So I'd go back to the corner and he's just like, just breathe. And I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me what to do though. Because you not telling me what to do is not calming me down. So I have to go back out there again, second round. I still don't know what to do. So I'm just freaking out more and more and more. Right? And then I'm trying to sort of box. I'm trying to sort of roll underneath her punches. But the refs obviously can see that she's sort of getting the better of me, so he just counts me out, done. And I'm just like, are you having a laugh? Are you being serious? So obviously, come out, doctor's checking me over, and I'm like, yep, I'm fine. And that's just it. Then more panic attacks. I was struggling with that for at least 6 months until I sort of sat down one day with my dad, and he just sort of said, do you think it could be panic attacks? And it sort of clicked, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm not asthmatic. I think it could be panic attacks. And then finally, once you diagnose it, you can sort of start figuring out how to deal with it properly. And that sort of came with just taking breaks. Like if I knew it was coming on, I was just like, right, just let me step out the ring for like a couple of seconds. Let me just gather my thoughts and stuff. And then you get back in and it would relax a bit more. But that took 6 months to a year for me to sort out. And it was just so hard. I mean, I still get some of those thoughts now, but just the panic attacks don't come along with it. You've got to be sort of mental to be in competitive sport. And it's just figuring out a way how to deal with that mentalness.
Have you done anything in particular to help control them or anything?
Well, see with that, it kind of just, it went away as quickly as it came. So one session I just got in the ring and it just didn't happen, and it hasn't really happened since, fortunately. Even on bigger stages now where it's like in front of the actual England performance pathway and sparring people who are like European champions, world champions, it hasn't really come back since. So it just went away as quickly as it came. Maybe it just went away with age and confidence. But I'm just glad it hasn't come back.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk. So, how many bouts have you had?
I've had 20 bouts now, which is quite a lot for a girl. I've had 13 wins, 7 losses. Most of them are tournament bouts. I don't really get many club shows because there's just not that many people around, especially in the south. But yeah, I guess you could say I'm quite an experienced fighter now. But obviously there are people who are much more experienced than me. And
how well can you remember your first bout?
Yeah, I remember my first bout. My first bout was in Moulscombe. It was my first fight ever. I wasn't actually that nervous. I think that my coach was really surprised because I wasn't nervous at all, right? And I got in the ring, and you know they announced our names and everything. The bell rang, and she just came flying at me. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I'm trying to get out of the corner because I hadn't even come out the corner yet. She just came flying straight at me. I'm trying to get out of the corner and I trip on my feet. So my feet get tangled up. And the referee thinks that I've been sort of knocked down, so he gives me a count. And I'm like, okay, hang on, let me just remember what I've got to do. So I keep my hands up and he lets us carry on. And after that, you know, I was actually doing quite well. And then the third round, because it's so new and you're sort of, it's much different to sparring. I think that extra adrenaline, it just makes it even more tiring. So by the third round, both of us are kind of knackered and gassing out a little bit. I end up losing on a split decision. But for my first bout, it was actually quite cool. I really enjoyed it. But then COVID hit. And so obviously I think it was a 2-year gap between my first fight and COVID, the end of COVID. So, and I came straight back on the home show, won that, and have just sort of been fighting continuously since then. But it was a quite fun experience, actually. Even though I lost, it was actually really fun.
And how do you think you've improved as a fighter since that first fight?
Oh, well, since my first fight was very raw, on my toes, like the traditional sort of English boxing. But since then, I've sort of developed a more, I don't want to say like a Mike Tyson copy, but a much more like sort of aggressive, very much head movement dominant sort of style. And because I'm so small and my opponent's always much bigger than me, I have to go for their body a lot more, which back then I didn't really do much. The only shots I could throw from my first fight were like 1-2s and that's it. But since then I've sort of developed a much bigger repertoire of punches and combinations I can use.
Okay, and which has been your toughest fight to date?
My toughest fight? That's a tricky one because I've had a couple where... No, I think, right, that's it. The National Youth Semi-Finals, because I had a couple of problems leading up to that tournament, so I couldn't train properly. And it was the first time I've ever done 3-minute rounds, ever. And they are so much harder than 2 minutes. It's like when you put something in the microwave for a minute, that minute just lasts forever. These 3 minutes just last forever, and it's just a slugfest. Because it was the under 52, so they're bigger, they're heavier, and they just like throw their weight on you. So I'm having to fight every second of that fight. I don't know how I got through it, and I was dead at the end of it. I managed to nick the win on a 3-2 split.
And what's been your biggest win?
My biggest win? I think the Haringey. It was like because the venue's so big, it's a massive palace, and it was the first time I've ever boxed twice. I boxed a German in the first round and I stopped there. And then in the final, I beat this year's national champion at under 46. It was the trilogy fight. So far it's 2-1 in my favour, but that has been my best win so far. That was the best weekend I've ever had in my life, actually.
Excellent, good to hear. And so what goes through your head when you're both training and fighting? Is there anything that how do you approach it mentally?
Well, I think when I approach training actually a much more sort of negative kind of mindset. Because I know in training, for some reason in fights, the fighting is actually the easiest part for me. You just get in there, everything's all right. Even if you know the person's sort of better than you, or you don't even know the person at all. Like with the German, I had no idea if she was going to be any good. So I just kind of was like, right, there's no point thinking about it. Just get in there, have it out with them, and see what happens. All right, so the fighting for me, I'm actually much calmer, more relaxed. I just want to get the fight over and done with. But with the training, to me, the training's much harder. There's more pressure on me in training to sort of improve and excel, because I feel like if I'm not leaving that gym at least 1% better, I've wasted 2 hours of my life. So in training, I feel like there's more of a negative, more like pressure on myself to improve than there is in fights.
Interesting. And what does the future look like for you? What are your plans?
Well, my plans currently, obviously the first sort of main ambition of mine is to try and push the limits of my boxing career. I want to see how far I can take it. Obviously I'd like to go all the way, eventually to like world champion for professionals, but obviously my second sort of ambition is to set up my own personal training business, to obviously bring in a bit of extra money to fund my boxing career, and obviously it's sort of a safety net just in case maybe I can't continue boxing anymore for whatever reason.
Why should people train with you?
Well, people should train with me because the thing that sets me apart from everyone else is I've actually got competitive experience. And not just like little level club shows, I'm talking national tournaments recognised by governing body of the country. I've been selected for the development team of England. I get to represent England, my country, which isn't a very common thing. Even in amateur boxing itself, people involved, that's not a common thing. I've also got 8 years experience in the sport, and I've worked my way up from grassroots to national level. So that's the thing that sets me apart from everybody else. I've got the experience, I've got an exciting style, and even if I can't pull off certain techniques in the ring, I can definitely pull them off outside the ring. So that sets me apart, makes me unique. So every time I get in the gym, I'm like, right, I can't let anybody know I'm weak. I can't let anybody take me out, right? Let me train, even if it's into the ground. let me train, let me get better, right? I don't want anybody thinking, right, okay, she's a bit weak, she's a bit tired, let's just hold her back. I don't want anybody holding me back. I want to keep training, right? I want to keep getting better. I don't want to be inadequate.
So is that what drives you, like, going forward?
Well, I think at the root of it, yeah. Obviously since I've sort of grown up, there've been a couple of other motivations, like, I wouldn't mind a couple of, the money side of it, get a nice house. But from young, the first motivation was, I want to be a title holder. I want titles. I don't want fame. I want glory, right? I don't want to be inadequate. I don't want to be, because you look at me and you think, right, small, skinny, not really got much, bit average. So I want to be more than that. I want to be great. So that kind of what drives me.
Well, those people haven't seen you box, think clearly, like if that's even what they think. Do you think, like, just females in boxing, do you think there's still a stigma attached to it?
I think maybe a little bit less than there was, but I think there still is a little bit. Sometimes I get people who I'm talking to and they're like, really? Or I see people who are a bit older, the older generation, they're like, oh, please let me buy you a bike or something, so you can stop boxing. I don't want you to get hurt. And I'm like, well, but it's what I want to do. Even sometimes I had it with my grandparents as well, because they're very old school. They're from the 50s. So me boxing was like a massive heart attack to them. They're like, you're going to ruin all your prettiness. So there's still a little bit of stigma attached, but I think as the years are going by and the girls are getting better and people are realising, well, we can't stop them. So the stigma's sort of dying down. But in this era of mediocrity, where bronze and silver and just participating is celebrated, I'm not about that. I want gold. I come into the ring to perfect, to excel, and to be great, and come away with gold. I don't want to be celebrated for just getting in the ring. I want to be celebrated for coming home with a title, with the win. And that's what I'm about. And a lot of people misunderstand me for that. They think, oh, she's a prima donna. Oh, she's spoiled. I'd rather help people than have a national champion. I'm not about that.
How would you describe your style? What's your fighting style?
My style is very aggressive. People always tell me, oh, don't be so eager, calm down. But I can't help it. I get in the ring and I just want to take out somebody. I've got a lot of spite and a lot of anger, and I just want to take it out on somebody. So my style is very aggressive, very explosive.
Why should people come and see you?
Because I want to show the world that the girls can do anything the boys can, if not better. Because we have to rely more on our skills, and not only that, we have to prove every step of the way that we can keep up with the boys. We can train as hard as they can. We're not going to cry in sparring. We're not going to blame our periods on, our mood swings or whatever. I can do anything you can, if not better, because I haven't got all this opportunity, and all this, money flowing into sport. I mean, men's boxing makes 10 times more than women's boxing. So that's why you should watch me, because I'm going to show all you lot that I can box better than the lads, humbly and graciously, and I'll do it better. I haven't got the reach or the height to be able to get away with, long in, out, in, out. I have to use my head movement to get in, to even be able to land anything. So I do take bits and pieces from certain pros. I want to perfect, I want to excel, I want to win. And in style, and I want to entertain. I'm not trying to copy anybody. I don't want to be the female Mike Tyson or the female Manny Pacquiao. I want to be the first Izzy Mitchell. I want to be original. I want to be nothing like there's been before and nothing like there will be after. I want to be a milestone.